Hello everyone, welcome to E-Classes by Dr. Adira. This is a video to describe the development of face, palate and tongue. As embryo is folded in two planes, the primitive oral cavity or stomodium forms, which is bounded above by a bulge known as frontal prominence, below by a bulge known as cardiac bulge where future heart is forming, and it is separated from the foregut by a membrane formed of ectoderm and endoderm known as buccopharyngeal membrane. And on the lateral side of stomodium, there is formation of certain bulge or thickening of mesoderm known as pharyngeal arches. So these pharyngeal arches develop as mesodermal thickening in the lateral pharyngeal wall, as you can see here. Once the pharyngeal arches form, they separate the stomodium from the primitive heart region or the cardiac bulge. And each of these pharyngeal arches approximate with their counterpart on the opposite side beneath the floor of the pharynx. Thus, the pharyngeal arches separate the stomodium from the future heart region or cardiac bulge. And these mesodermal thickenings or pharyngeal arches are lined externally by layer of ectoderm and internally by layer of endoderm. And these depressions on the external surface, which is lined by ectoderm, is known as pharyngeal cleft. And these depressions between two arches internally, which are lined by endoderm, is known as pharyngeal pouches. So all these arches have their own innervation and blood supply, and they give rise to various structures. There are totally 6 such cylindrical thickenings initially, but 5th and 6th arch are transient in humans. They are not seen later. So that's why here arches 1 to 4 are shown in this diagram. The first pharyngeal arch is known as mandibular arch and the second one as hyoid arch. You can see the pharyngeal arches, all the 4 pharyngeal arches in this diagram as well. I am not going into detail of pharyngeal arches, and indeed I am moving directly onto the development of face. Face develops by fusion of several processes or prominences, as I have told you. You can see the stomodium bound above by frontal prominence, and now below it is bound by first pharyngeal arch. This is from the frontal view, and in the lateral view also you can appreciate the same features. And now by 6th week of intrauterine life, there is a rostral extension from the mandibular arch, as you can see here on either side. This extension on either side of the mandibular arch rostrally is known as maxillary process. Once maxillary process is formed from the mandibular arch, rest of the mandibular arch you can call it as mandibular process. The maxillary process will give rise to bone of maxilla and associated structures. On 28th day or 7th week of gestation, there is migration of neural crust cells into the frontal prominence in the region where future nasal cavity will form, which causes proliferation of ectoderm in this region, as you can see in this image, creating a bulge which is known as nasal placodes on either side. These nasal placodes or olfactory placodes further undergo proliferation to form a horseshoe-shaped bulge on it. On either side, you can appreciate this horseshoe-shaped bulge that is formed on the olfactory placodes or nasal placodes. Its median arm is known as median nasal process and the lateral arm is known as lateral nasal process. So there are 2 median nasal processes on either side of the face, developing face, and lateral nasal prominences on either side, as you can appreciate in this image. The area of frontal prominence between this median nasal process or prominence is known as frontonasal prominence. This median nasal process along with frontonasal prominence give rise to various structures as middle part of upper lip, middle portion of nose, anterior portion of maxilla and primary palate. You can see here it's by fusion of median nasal processes on either side along with the frontonasal process in between give rise to the middle portion of upper lip, which is known as philtrum, and middle portion of nose, and also the anterior portion of maxilla and the primary palate. The maxillary process on either side move towards the midline, which actually pushes the median nasal process towards the midline, causing their fusion. And rest of the upper lip is formed from maxillary process, and the maxillary process fuses also with the lateral nasal process. But during this fusion, the furrow in between forms an epithelium lined canal, which is nothing but the nasolacrimal duct. As this many developmental events are complete, now there is a single oronasal cavity which is bound anteriorly by the primary palate and is occupied by the developing tongue. And in the midline, you can even appreciate the nasal septum which grows downwards and inwards from the frontonasal prominence. And in this image, you can appreciate the single oronasal cavity. There is primary palate anteriorly and the nostrils you can appreciate here. And the tongue, you see it is present in a very superficial position in the roof of the primitive oral cavity or stomodium. So the two nasal cavities and the oral cavity will be separated from each other only when the development of palate is complete. So let's see how this development of palate getting completed. As I said already, the primary palate, the first stage, forms by the fusion of frontonasal process and median nasal processes at 28th day of gestation. And now is the second stage known as secondary palate formation, which begins between 7th to 8th week of gestation by extensions of maxillary process medially as palatal shelves. You can see in this image the maxillary process, already I told you, they grow towards the midline from either side as medial extensions. These extensions of maxillary process within the cavity or within the oronasal cavity is known as lateral palatal shelves. They move towards the midline and joins in the midline to form secondary palate. And one more change happens here is the formation of nasal septum. So palatal shelves moves medially on either side behind the primary palate, and at the same time the frontonasal process in the midline develops a downward extension or vertical extension, which is the nasal septum. You can see here this is the vertical extension that develops from the frontonasal process and moves downwards to join these joining palatal shelves. Thus all these three extensions, the one vertical extension and two lateral extensions of palatal shelves, joins in the midline, forming two separate nasal cavities and one oral cavity. Thus, oral cavity and two nasal cavities are separated by all this process, and at the same time the tongue, which was occupying the roof of the stomodium, moves downwards, which only will allow the fusion of palatal shelves in the midline. So once before the formation of palatal secondary palate by fusion of palatal shelves, there is downward movement of tongue to the floor of the primitive oral cavity or stomodium. So as you can see here, these kind of disturbances in development may result due to improper fusion of these facial prominences. For example, cleft lip results due to lack of fusion of median nasal processes and frontonasal prominence. Cleft palate may result due to lack of fusion of palatal shells, which are extensions of maxillary process. These cleft lip and palate usually can be seen together in an individual, and isolated cleft lips are also common. And the correction of cleft lip and cleft palate is a very complicated procedure that must include specialists from various specialities of medicine, including dentistry. And this kind of oblique facial cleft may result. This is a kind of larger defect that results due to lack of fusion between lateral nasal process and the maxillary process. Such orofacial clefts results due to improper development and fusion of various facial prominences that we discussed already. So now let's move on to the next session, that is development of tongue. Development of tongue begins much earlier by 4th week of intrauterine life, and I've told you in the initial stages of development, tongue occupies a superficial in the primitive oral cavity. Only when just before the completion of palate development or fusion of secondary palatal shelves, the tongue descends down into the floor of the primitive oral cavity or stomodium. And by 4th week of intrauterine life, in the floor of the mouth, which is formed by pharyngeal arches at that time, there is proliferation of underlying mesenchyme, which give rise to few swellings that a swelling is present, which is known as tuberculum impar. It is the fusion of these three swellings that results in the formation of anterior 2/3 or oral part of the tongue. Since it is formed from the first pharyngeal arch, the sensory supplies by mandibular nerve in the anterior 2/3 of tongue. The mandibular nerve is the nerve of the first pharyngeal arch. Now let's see how is posterior 1/3 or pharyngeal part developing. There is development of large midline swellings of mesenchyme in the second, third and fourth arches. The midline swelling of second arch is known as copula and third and fourth arch is known as hypobranchial or hypopharyngeal eminence. The hypobranchial eminence overgrows the copula and gradually copula disappears, and it is from hypobranchial eminence the pharyngeal part or posterior 1/3 of tongue is formed. And the sensory supply to the posterior 1/3 of tongue is by mainly glossopharyngeal nerve. Thus the oral and pharyngeal part is formed and it is separated, as you can see here, the oral part that is anterior 2/3 and the pharyngeal part that is posterior 1/3 of tongue is separated by a V-shaped line known as sulcus terminalis or terminal sulcus. It is at the apex of this sulcus terminalis there is presence of foramen cecum. The other side of foramen cecum or the ventral aspect of foramen cecum is associated with the development of thyroid gland. That's why if there is any disturbance in thyroid development, thyroid tissue might be present on this region of tongue, which is known as lingual thyroid. And all of you know tongue is a muscular organ. There are various extrinsic and intrinsic muscles of tongue. These muscles derive from occipital somites, which are again derivative of the germ layer mesoderm, and they are innervated by hypoglossal nerve or 12th cranial nerve. The lingual papillae appear by the end of 8th week of intrauterine life. Among the papillae, circumellate and foliate papillae appear first, and fungiform and filiform papillae appear by 10th to 11th week of intrauterine life. And the taste buds develop during 11th to 13th week of intrauterine life on these papillae. Taste buds are present on the fungiform as well as lateral aspect of circumvallate papillae. So to conclude, tongue develops from first, third and fourth pharyngeal arches. And that's all about the development of face, palate and tongue. Thank you all for listening.